Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more /your mighty butthole. And if you love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's dive straight into today's first story. Now today's first story does follow with an update. Am I the arsehole for wanting to cut my wife's spending money, mine too, to hire help? I am 29 male and my wife is 28 female. We have 2 kids, 5 male and 3 male, and I'm planning on a 3rd kid. I work around 70 to 80 hours on average and my wife is a stay-at-home mum. I make really good money even for USA standards, and we live in Europe, in a country where cost of living is way lower. Argument me and my wife are having is that I keep telling my wife that I don't have time to iron my clothes, etc. And since she is a stay-at-home mum, she should do it. But I know that having 2 kids makes her job as hard as mine. So I offered to get us a nanny or help for our house. But it would mean both of our spending money would be cut around 10 to 15%. I manage all of our finances and we get the same spending money after investing and savings. But my wife is angry that I would cut her spending money too. I don't have time to do things around the house. I am trying to help my father retire since he is turning 70 next year, and he helped me a lot. Bought me my first apartment when I was a student where my wife lived too during uni. I don't help him financially. I am just slowly taking over his company as well. I have 2 brothers, but only one works there, and I am the only one qualified to actually take over according to my brothers. That means I pretty much have 2 jobs. That's why I work so much. But it also means we have a lot of spending money, around 6.5 to 7.5k euros each month. Note that spending money is different than money for paying everything like groceries and things for the kids. We have separate accounts for that. My wife is really into designer brands, etc. and spends all of her money on clothes shopping usually. She thinks I should only cut my own spending money if I want to hire a nanny or help. I disagree and both have our spending money cut. I got calls from my sister-in-law and she said I am being controlling by wanting to cut my wife's spending money. So I'm starting to honestly doubt myself because I don't want to be financially abusing my wife. My mother used to do that to me. I gotta tell you, you had me on the 3rd paragraph. I pulled a right oof face when you said, since she is a stay-at-home mum, she should do it. But then you redeemed yourself saying, you have 2 kids and her job is just as hard as yours, so you offered to get a nanny. So you redeemed yourself there, but I thought, I was praying for you at that moment. But the amount of spending money you're talking about here, 6.5 to 7.5k euros each month, and you're talking 10 to 15% of that is nothing in the grand scheme of things. And yes, you're right. Having 2 kids is a hard job and you're working hard as well, but you have an issue in your relationship that needs resolving, and that's basically neither of you have the time at the moment, and reducing your spending money by 10 to 15% solves that solution by getting a nanny in to help. So in my eyes, unless I'm missing something here, this is a logical solution to me, so I'm going to say I'm not the arsehole. But before we move on to the update, we're going to cover a couple of the comments. Idiotic Optimist says, maybe she feels like you're effectively docking her pay, when she will still be doing the same job she's always done and she doesn't have a problem with how the house is run. You do. I actually think you are the arsehole. And if you're as well off as you say you are, just pay for someone to iron your clothes or get them dry cleaned. I'm on maternity leave at the moment, and if my husband asked me to iron his clothes, I would honestly laugh. We have since hired help that comes in 4 hours a week. I still spend our shared money whatever way I see fit. OP replies to that saying, I kind of agree with that sentiment, but I think that hiring help should cut our fun money equally, since she wouldn't have to clean our house at all. So it would cut most of the housework she does as well. Not only my fun money should be cut here. Fluffy Influence 520 says, you're right from an objective financial stance, of course. However, if we accept this comment as accurate, it seems like her objections are coming from a much more emotional place, and she is equating losing this money to a loss in how much she is valued. Honestly, you can afford it, and you clearly see the improvements to your life that it will bring. This is not a hill you want to die on. Shaders XC says, I'll paraphrase my response elsewhere. She is a stay-at-home mum with a husband who works 80 hours a week for her role as a stay-at-home mum. For her role as a stay-at-home mum, she gets paid the equivalent of 120k USD a year. That's not shared money either, that's solely her money. It's nonsensical that she's complaining about her income being reduced by a negligible amount to have her workload reduced. WineSys says being away 70 to 80 hours a week with such young children at home is a big problem. Your choice to work such hours is what's causing the issue at home. Being an absent father while planning for a third child kinda makes you the arsehole. Expecting your wife to iron your clothes is ridiculous. She is taking care of your kids in home. Why aren't you using your spending money on wrinkle-free shirts and slacks or paying the dry cleaner to press them for you? OP replies saying, I want to. She doesn't want around 10 to 15% of her fund money to be cut. Mine would be too. When I am at home, I want to spend time with kids over doing chores since I value any time I have with them and her. I wish I could work less, but because of financial goals we both put for our kids' future, I can't work less. Accomplished Area 311 says you're the arsehole. I'm gonna get downvoted to oblivion, but yeah, you're gone a lot, and yet instead of making being home your goal, you want to have a stranger in your wife's space and your kids' routines. That's not okay. Work less. 80 hours a week is quite literally half a week. What the hell are you managing so badly that you can't or don't know how to delegate? From personal experience, your wife won't be able to handle having another kid if you don't start showing up in the home. Why did you get married if you're married to your job? A deleted user says not the arsehole. The moment you both decided to have kids, they became the priority. That's sacrificing most of your things for them. She's being selfish. Don't feel bad for having to cut off her spending money. She's just being immature. It's only fair that you both do it together for the greater good of the family. Plus you have a kid on the way. OP replies saying, not yet, third one we're just planning on having. When I am at home, I rather try bonding with my kids and my wife over doing chores. I try to get us date night once a week, but it's usually every 2 weeks, and sister-in-law helps with babysitting. She has her own room in our house. She often stays over because of issues with her boyfriend, but they are not really telling me what's going on. So now we're going to move on to the update. So I'm not gonna lie, this is a surprising update. I've taken a few days off before Christmas with my wife, so we can spend 2 days without the kids and family craziness. I had a convo with one guy here on private, and I realized that my wife doesn't usually behave like this. So I asked her about it, what is actually going on, etc. Turns out, for the past few months, my wife was giving money to her sister to help her move out from her boyfriend, whom I've never really liked, if I'm gonna be honest, and never knew why. Well, it turns out he is abusive, and as it turns out, my sister-in-law is pregnant. At least now I know what I had a bad feeling about him, other than him trying to borrow money from me constantly. If you wonder why she didn't tell me this, since obviously we have the means to help her, it's because I helped her sister-in-law with some of her debt in the past, and I told her family I don't want to be used as a piggy bank. I invested in my brother-in-law's plumbing business. My wife knew that the situation would be different, but her sister didn't want to ask me for money. Not sure where does her sister think my wife gets her money from, but I digress. I can say it here freely, since my sister-in-law's boyfriend doesn't use Reddit, and after what she told me about it, I've hired a private investigator, and we have moved her to our house. She already had a room, and we're going to help her with getting her own apartment in January. When it comes to the main topic, we're hiring some help and starting to look and getting a nanny for weekends. We changed some things in our budget since we are ahead in most of our goals. Also, some people had some things to say about my wife. While sure it sounded ridiculous that my wife didn't want to lose her designer clothes money, and comments were mostly respectful, I had some nasty private messages about my wife not deserving money she gets, her being a freeloader, etc. It was her decision to be a stay-at-home mum. But she also had a great future in finance ahead of her. She is not a slacker. One of the reasons I love her is how hardworking she always was. She's also a great teacher to our child. Our 5-year-old is so ahead in math without her pressuring him hard. It's honestly amazing. I saw her teach him and making it fun, which honestly I don't know how she does, because he enjoys it. Also adding it last second here. I talked to my sister-in-law before I even mentioned it. She herself told me she is sorry about the financial abuse comment. She was just scared about the situation she is in, which is understandable. So yeah, here is an update. I read the rules and I hope it's good enough and won't be removed. And it's one of those updates that's, it's sad to see that sister-in-law is going through this. But also, and I always feel bad saying it's a positive in some ways, because knowing someone's going through that, it's hard to say it's a positive. But now that the situation is out there, wife has been helping with it, but now that you know as well, you can help as well, and that is a positive, and you are helping. So things are hopefully going to start moving upwards for sister-in-law. There is changes in her life which are positive changes. Getting away from abuse like that can only be a positive. And for you to talk about your wife in that way, and the loving and supportive way it should be, is absolutely wonderful. And it sounds like you have everything in hand now. And as I said, I think it's a positive update in some ways. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll move on to another story. And our next story comes from OK Replacement 1742, and again follows with an update titled, "Am I the arsehole for not making my uncle a gift this year because of what he said last year? My family likes to make homemade stuff for gifts. My grandma grew up poor, and gifts she made for her kids were homemade. That's still something we do today, where most of our gifts are made by us. Of course, if someone wants something specific, someone will buy it. The thing is, I, 16 male, make is bracelets. My grandma makes blankets, my mum makes necklaces, and my Aunt Morgan, 40 female, makes custom t-shirts. I am very close with my Aunt Morgan, and she helped raise me until I was about 10. I often sleep over at her house to babysit her kids, Eva and Ellie, twins, 8 male and female. But I make it a point to avoid her husband, my uncle Dylan, 48 male, because I don't get along very well with him, and we don't have any sort of bond. Last Christmas, I, as usual, made bracelets for everyone. This was Dylan's first Christmas with my grandma's. He usually spends it at his mum's with his family, without Morgan and the twins, and I made him a gold and silver bracelet with coils twisting around each other. All my money last Christmas was babysitting money, and I worked extra to be able to give Dylan something I thought he'd like. Well, I give it to him, and he thinks it's a joke. When I explain I'm 100% serious, he says he doesn't wear gay shit like this. I'm gay, and he knows this. I've been out for 3 years. He told me to get a watch next year. Well, I didn't get him anything this year. We did Christmas early this year, today, the 19th, because my other uncle Ben has to leave the States for his job a few days before Christmas. I also got a job this year and was able to afford Morgan a ring similar to the one she bought on her 18th birthday, but had lost a few years ago on a vacation. I knew it wouldn't replace her old ring, but I thought she'd be happy to have one similar. I'd saved up slowly for 3 years now, my new job really helping. Anyways, we gave out gifts and I delivered Morgan's gift last because she was sitting farthest from the tree. I give it to her, it's a bracelet with a ladybug charm and the ring. She cried happy tears when she saw the ring, so I think it was a success. My uncle Dylan then asked where his watch was. I said I didn't get him one because he insulted my gift last year. He sulked and ranted to my uncle Ben about it. I make Ben a pretty simple bracelet when he visits per his request, and Ben called him a dickless ingrate because of what Dylan said last year. Dylan sulked the rest of the night, and my very sweet grandma suggested I make him a simple bracelet or give him a cheap watch next year, which I'll probably do. I'm just upset that Dylan thought he was entitled to a watch from me after a rude comment last year, but I do feel bad for leaving him out. Am I the arsehole for not giving my uncle a gift last year? Edit, thank you very much for the kind words and petty gift suggestions. I'll be talking with him about it on the 27th with Morgan by my side. I'll probably post an update then. You all have been so sweet, I can't. Now OP sounds like an absolutely amazing person to save up for this ring for their aunt over 3 years. The thought and consideration that goes into that, warms my little cold heart. And the family in general, apart from Dylan, sounds absolutely wonderful. I love this thought of that they're all making each other homemade gifts. One of my biggest things that I kind of dislike about Christmas, and it may seem sad in some ways, but I'm not hating on anyone that does it at all because I do it still. But the fact that you got this pressure to buy people certain gifts and stuff like that, and I need to find a better way of doing it myself, really. But it just feels like pressure every year to deal with it. And Christmas to me is always about family gathering around the table and spending time with each other, chatting and joking. That one time of the year when the whole family comes together and has a meal together is my favorite thing about Christmas. But as I said, we have an update to this post as well. And to me, you're not the asshole for not getting a gift for your uncle. He was totally disrespectful, demanded a watch. Yeah, get the hell out of here with that. And I'm kind of surprised Morgan hasn't pulled him up on it. Maybe she has, but we shall see. Ron Mexico 74 says, not the arsehole, no question about it, make him a rainbow bracelet next year. And OP replies saying, I think maybe if my uncle apologizes, I will talk to him later, then this might be what I make. I do wonder if there's any watch charms that work. And obviously if my uncle continues to have a bigger dick in his personality than his pants, I will probably end up finding a cheap watch, a simple bracelet with a charm, it sounds delightful, or nothing at all. And if he spends next Christmas at his mum's house, great, then my dilemma shall be solved. Complex Lemon 371 says, not the arsehole, a grown man in his 30s shouldn't be sulking and should be more understanding of gifts given by a teenager. You're doing more than most people your age in regards to gifts. He can buy his own watch and get over himself and his homophobia. Dina Felice says, not the arsehole, but I would probably have phrased it a little bit differently than you did. Sorry Dylan, I knew you didn't like the bracelet I gave you last year, so I didn't want to make you something else that you wouldn't like. His ungrateful behaviour last year was arseholish enough, but to be entitled this year, and then to throw a temper tantrum, he's 100% the arsehole. Unless he makes some serious amends over the course of this next year, I don't see him getting a present from you next year either. OP replies saying, thank you for your suggestions, I'll keep them in mind when I talk to him and Morgan. I wanted a trusted adult backup about it when I see them next. But since it's unlikely he will even be at my grandma's next year for Christmas, I don't think I'll have any moral issues with giving him a gift, and if he does spend Christmas with us next year, he should probably expect a $5 plastic children's watch. And one more from Hugh Janus, 83, great name, replies to that saying, Hello Kitty watch, bedazzled, Kitty, everybody say Hello Kitty. Mark stop. If you can find it rainbow coloured or themed, boom, gift wrap it and call it a day. He has to wear it every day until next Christmas or he'll never receive another gift from you again. Now, let's move on to the update to see what happens next. Let's pray for that Hello Kitty watch. So the update says, hello. I've tried to read all the comments on the original post, but there were very many and I responded to as many as I could. But I honestly did not expect so much. Thank you all for replying and giving me advice and petty gift ideas. They were very entertaining to read. I didn't want the twins to see me arguing with Dylan if it had turned into that, so I came prepared with an outdoor treasure hunt thing to set up. I talked to Dylan and, to make a long story short, he apologized, told me how he had a toxic family growing up. His dad was a chef and his mum didn't approve because obviously only gay guys can cook. /sarcasm. He said he still does have the bracelet and said that he shouldn't have called it gay shit and that he doesn't want to turn into his mother by acting that way and saying things like that. I also believe he was given a stern talking to by my grandma later, who had also come to my aunt's house. They were going to go get massages. Again, thank you all for the responses. I honestly just expected a few if I was the arse or not. I've gotten so many suggestions for gifts next year, like, wow. Also, sorry for the late update. I kept forgetting to make one. Again, I can't get over what a wonderful and thoughtful family most of them are. Obviously, Dylan in this one, there's got to be some props given. Even what he said was totally toxic and negative, but realizing where that toxicity is coming from, growing up, apologizing for it and trying to deal with it, it's got to be a positive, right? I wouldn't say he's totally out of the woods yet for what he's done, but maybe next Christmas he can make the bracelet. But I do love the fact that this whole family seems to have each other's backs, you know, from Ben in the last post who called him out and now Grandma getting involved as well. I do think that's pretty wonderful. But how about you guys? What do you guys make of this story? What do you think about Dylan now he's apologized? How could they potentially move past this? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. As always, a huge thank you for spending 20 to 30 minutes with me today, getting involved in the channel, the stories, the likes, the comments, the subscribes. It's all absolutely amazing. I can never ever thank you enough for what you do. You absolutely blow me away. Thank you for your love, your support, and your time, and I will see you cheeky so-and-so, in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.
Yeah, man, I remember being so naive when life was good, weather and palm trees. Back in the day, you were everything I need. But then along came a time when you crushed my dreams. Oh yeah, you played me like a fool when you made me believe that the line between love wasn't thick enough to read. Oh yeah, you see we in the spare crime everywhere. You're selling